Good day, students. My name is Victoria Vitalina, and I'm an English teacher of the subject of foreign language of the country of specialization. I'd like to start our lesson with a new theme where I talk about the Great Britain. The first part is England. England is the biggest part of the United Kingdom. Its area is more than 130,000 square kilometers. The population of England is about 47 million people. The country is washed by the English Channel, the Irish Sea, and the North Sea. There are a lot of rivers in England. The most important of them are the Thames, the Trent, and Mersey. The climate of England is temperate. Everybody knows about rains in England. There are many trees and plants in the country. You can find chestnuts, oaks, fir trees, and limes here. There are 10 national parks in England. Many animals live in England. There are squirrels, foxes, hares. Also, there are a lot of birds in parks and fish in lakes and rivers. London is the capital of England and one of the largest cities. Other big cities are Liverpool, Birmingham, and Manchester. England is an industrial country. The main industries are shipbuilding, electronics, and textile. Agriculture is important for the country as well. People grow different berries, fruits, vegetables, grain crops, and mushrooms. England is famous for sheep, cow, poultry production, and pig breeding. There are a great number of universities in England. The most famous are Cambridge and Oxford, attracting students from all over the world. They have many common features and known as Oxbridge. One more interesting fact to mention is that England is home to lots of different sports, but the most played one is the football. There are a lot of theatres, museums, libraries, and galleries in England. English people love music. In summer, you can go to music festivals all over the country, like Glastonbury, Leeds, or Reading. Glastonbury is a 5-day festival of music, dance, comedy, and theatre. Many people stay at the festivals for a few days and they camp in tents. People listen to all types of music, especially pop and rock. England has produced many international groups and singers like Beatles, Amy Winehouse, Coldplay, Ed Sheeran. The most popular sports in England are football, rugby, and cricket, and most towns have a football, rugby, and cricket ground where teams can play. English football teams like Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool are world famous, and English football players include David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, and Frank Lampard. Women's football is also popular, and teams play in leagues and competitions all over the country. Every year, the English Rugby Union team play in the Six Nations Championships against Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. France and Italy. Cricket is a traditional sport played with a bat and ball, which began in England and now played all over the world. People like to watch all these sports on TV and other sports like horse racing, tennis, snooker. England is a very multicultural country and it has a big influence on the food people eat. Indian, Chinese, and Italian cuisines are popular alternative to traditional English food like fish and chips, roast beef or sausage, and mashed potatoes. Many English people drink several cups of tea every day, usually with milk. However, different types of coffee like espresso and herbal teas are also popular. People can travel by different vehicles in England. For international trips, they use planes. As for public transportation, there are trains, cars, taxis, and black cabs, the tube and buses, all double-deckers. England's national emblem is rose. St. George is a patron of England. The flag of St. George is a red cross and horizontal stripes on a white background. English people are very polite, neat, and disciplined. They love their homes, pets, and comfort. There are many famous poets and writers from England: Arthur Conan Doyle, Daniel Defoe, William Shakespeare, and Charles Dickens. Now I'd like to talk about England's symbols. England enjoys many national symbols, which are used expansively in political, social, cultural, and even religious spheres to respect this diverse land. These include the flag. The flag of England is represented by a red cross of white background. It's known as St. George Cross and has origins in the Crusades. the 12th and the 13th centuries, when soldiers were identified by this red-colored cross on their white tunics. St. George was claimed to be the patron saint of England at the time, so the cross became associated with him. The national flower of England is the rose. The flower has been adopted as England's emblem since the time of the Wars of the Roses, civil wars, between the royal house of Lancaster, whose emblem was a red rose, and the royal house of York, whose emblem was a white rose. The Royal Banner of England. The banner is also known as the Banner of the Royal Arms, amongst other names. It's the official English banner of the arms and represents the sovereignty of the rulers of England as opposed to loyalty to the country itself. It comprises 3 horizontally positioned gold lines which face the observer. Each has a blue tongue and blue claws, and is set against a deep red background. St. Edward's crown. This is one of the senior British crown jewels. It is official coronation crown and it's used in the coronation of England, British and Commonwealth monarchs. It's also used as image of various items such as coats of arms and baggage. National animals. The lion. Because the lion is a symbol of bravery, it was frequently used to depict the courageous warriors of medieval England. Today it remains the national animal of the country and it's used extensively in sports, team names, logos, icons, and so on. National flower, the rose. As I said before, England is usually represented by a red rose, but other colors can and has been used. National tree, the oak tree. The oak tree represents strength, beauty, and survival through trials. As such, it's the perfect representation of this enduring country. King Charles II escaped parliamentaries after his father was executed and hid an old oak tree. Since then, the escape has been called the Royal Oak and is well-known account for many locals. National drink, tea. Tea has been linked to England for centuries, although this herbal infusion comes in a variety of flavors and makes. The favorite norm remains Ceylon and the red bush teas. Now I'd like to talk about Scotland. Scotland is an integral part of the United Kingdom. It occupies the northern third of the island of Great Britain. Scotland is a very small country. It's about 274 miles long. The Route Wheat and the Cheviot Hills from Scotland's border with England. The Northwest Channel separates Scotland from Northern Ireland is the southwest. In the north and in the west, the country is bounded by Atlantic Ocean. The eastern coast is washed by the North Sea, which separates Scotland from the mainland of Europe. It should also be mentioned that Scotland includes over 790 islands. The population of the country is about 5 million people. Every country has a flag, and Scotland is no different. The flag was named Saltire. The design of the Saltire is quite simple, as a matter of fact. The wild cross of St. Andrew was on the flag, and the rest of the color is plain blue. The Scottish people had a great fascination about St. Andrew, who is a fisherman in the Bible. St. Andrew, together with his brother Simon, also known as Peter, was called by Jesus Christ to be his disciples. The Scottish people are very religious, and as a sign of their respect and devotion to St. Andrew, they decided to put a white cross on their flag. The Cecil emblem, legend about the Cecil emblem. The clansmen were alerted on the attack of Vikings were defeated by the Scots. In gratitude of this victory, the plan became known as the Guardian. Cecil and was then adopted as a national symbol of Scotland. Kilt is the national clothes of Scots that consist of cloak, pleated woolen skirt, and goatskin bag, which called sporran. Good day, students. My name is Victoria Vitalyevna, and I'm an English teacher of the subject of foreign language of the country of specialization. I'd like to talk about Edinburgh Castle. No matter how you get to Edinburgh by train, bus, or cab from the airport, Edinburgh Castle is a must-see destination. You don't need to base good strategies to know why the castle is located at the spot. The volcanic hill with sharp cliffs that have been cut by glaciers is the main reason Edinburgh is located here. From this fort, it is very easy to defend Edinburgh from the attack from all directions. Edinburgh Castle has changed its owners many times. It was captured by the English and Scottish. Edinburgh Castle is a historic fortress which dominates the skyline of Edinburgh, the capital city of Scotland. From the position of the Castle Rock, archaeologists have established human occupation of the rock since at least the Iron Age. The nature of the early settlements is unclear. There has been a royal castle on the rock since at least the reign of David the First and the 12th century, and the site continued at times to be a royal residence until 1633. From the 15th century, the castle's residence royal declined, and by the 17th century, it was principally used as military barracks with a large garrison. Its importance as a part of Scottish national heritage was recognized increasingly from the early 19th century onwards, and various restoration programs have been carried out of the past century and a half. As one of the most important strongholds in the Kingdom of Scotland, Edinburgh Castle was involved in many historical conflicts, from the wars and Scottish independence in the 14th century to the Jacobite Rising on the 1745. Edinburgh Castle is one of the attractions that you simply must see. It's the most visited tourist attraction in Scotland. From one of the highest hills you can see Edinburgh Castle, and the road that calls Royal Mile goes to the Palace of Holyrood House. Now I'd like to talk about Scottish culture. Main industrial cities. The country's main industrial cities are Glasgow, which is the largest of the Scotland, and Edinburgh, the capital of the country. Edinburgh is also one of the largest financial centers of Europe. Scottish waters of the North Atlantic and the North Sea contain the largest of reserves in the European Union. This is why Aberdeen has been given the title of Europe's oil capital, the capital of the country. Scottish towns are quite different from England ones. The capital of the country is one of the most attractive cities in Scotland. In spite of being a busy modern city, Edinburgh is famous for its history. There are 9 hills in Edinburgh. On the highest hill, one can see Edinburgh Castle. The road which begins at the castle and goes eastwards is called Royal Mile, at the end of which there is a Palace of Holyrood House. Scottish culture. As for Scottish culture and music, its significant aspect, a famous traditional instrument is the Great Highland Bagpipes. Sport is another important element of Scottish culture. Highland Games or Scottish Olympics are held in the country every year. Scotland is often associated with the bagpipes, but the interesting fact is the bagpipes aren't original from Scotland. Bagpipes originate from southern Europe and appear in Scotland. The Scottish bagpipe or Great Highland Bagpipe became established in the British military and achieved in the widespread prominence it enjoys today, whereas other bagpipes traditions throughout Europe, ranging from Spain to Russia, almost universally went into decline by the late 19th and early 20th centuries. So widely famous for its role in military and civil pipe bands, the Great Highland Bagpipe is also used for solo virtuoso style. If you're interested, you can visit the annual Glasgow International Piping Festival, which is held in August. Food and drink. Haggis is traditionally served with a Burns supper at January 25th, All Sarah Balls, where Scotland national poet Robert Burns is commemorated. He wrote the poem about it.